Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a lovely German language version of the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Day-Date 40 in platinum. This is reference 228206. It's 40 millimeters in diameter by 12.3 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. It is 47.5 millimeters across the wrist. It has a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. It wears much smaller than the old Day-Date 2, and here's why. The Day-Date 2 had solid end links to its President bracelet, so it would flare out. This measures 47.5 millimeters lug to lug. Because you could see the pivoted end link means the bracelet doesn't extend outward past the lug. On the Day-Date 2, it was 53.5 millimeters from end link to end link across the wrist. So if you couldn't wear the previous big Day-Date, you need to consider this because the fit is completely different. Throwing it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, the mass of this platinum watch is incredible. You really feel the difference between platinum and gold. Even switching between gold and platinum Rolex watches during this series of reviews, I'm taken by just how obvious this is. It's eyes closed type stuff. The watch wears low enough to fit underneath any kind of a dress cuff. It's comfortable, and it would wear well on a wrist as small as, in my estimation, 13.5 centimeters circumference. So a lady who wants a bigger Day-Date could absolutely consider this. Now, Rolex has its own foundry. It makes its own alloys. It makes its own cases, bracelets, and clasps. And here you can see platinum, extra white, the President bracelet, a 3-link design. And what's fascinating about the Day-Date 40 is that every version, not just the platinum, but every version has ceramic-coated pins inside the bracelet links. These pins cannot be worn down by the action of the links over time, which kills bracelet stretch dead. That long affliction that has cursed generations of Rolex watches, that long-time affliction is gone, as there will be no stretch to these ceramic pinned links. Now, we have removable links, and we have many of them. They're fixed in place by screws, so you're going to get a good fit here. We have the crown clasp, which you can see is internally media blasted and polished. It's got a little lift lock system now. There's a beak and a hook built in, and those two things lock together, so it's no longer just snap shut. You do actually have to unlatch it to open it up. The President bracelet was born with the Day-Date in the mid-1950s, so while the watch itself is often nicknamed the Rolex President or Presidential because of its ownership history, the bracelet is properly called the President. And in the modern era of all solid center links and ceramic-coated pins, it's as robust as the Oyster Sports bracelet, but it vents nicely, and it has that short link souplesse of the Jubilee dress bracelet. This clasp is remarkably solid, and it has the long-running signature of the crown clasp, which is the crown as the only obvious sign of the partition between the two halves. Now, the case is all of high polish. You can see it's tapered. It's got a little bit of a compound curvature on the side. It curves lengthwise, but it also curves top to bottom. So it's a bit like a Datejust in that regard. We have a conical bezel. We have a twin lock crown in platinum, 100 meters water resistant, screw down crown. You know it's a twin lock in platinum because there's just one dot on the crown. The dial is laser cut. That's how that quadrant pattern is created, and the quadrille is etched by laser on an ice blue base. Ice blue is the traditional dial color that Rolex reserves for its most premium material, platinum, and you can see that it is a remarkable thing. Two different blues on this dial. You can see we have a blued seconds hand, and then we have the ice blue of the dial base. You can see that there's a little railroad track printed in light black outboard for reading the seconds and the minutes. Then we have white gold indices, white gold Rolex crown, white gold hands. The reason to make them out of gold is they will not tarnish, oxidize, or change color over time. Appreciate that Rolex looms this version of the Day-Date 40. Not every version is loomed. This is one of the sportier ones with loomed indices and hands. Now, it does have a German language calendar. You can see today is Friday the 13th. It's a very scary date in any language. And we have a movement inside that gives you 70 hours of power reserve via a larger than previous mainspring and a new Chronergy Leica-formed escapement, which is effectively Rolex's escapement technology answer to Omega's coaxial. So you can see currently looking at Friday the 13th, or Freitag, and we have a double quick set system. So you can set the date and you can also set the day, and so this is a double quick set movement. That's Wednesday, makes sense. Mittwoch, it's midweek. We have a hacking seconds function. Pull the crown, stop the movement, set it against a reference time. The movement beats at 8 beats per second. It pivots on 31 joules. Again, it has the 70-hour power reserve, more than the previous 48. It also uses something that improves the durability over the old caliber 3155. This is caliber 3255, and that's a winding rotor ball bearing rather than the old jeweled staff. The old jeweled staff was very smooth, but it wasn't as rugged as the ball bearing. The watch has a full chronometer certification, but Rolex then takes the chronometer certified movement, cases it up in the watch, and tests it in 6 positions to ensure it runs no worse than -2 +2 seconds per day, considerably in excess of the COSC chronometer certification, and that is the basis for Rolex's term superlative chronometer in the modern era. The movement has a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for toughness and shock resistance, and that overcoil hairspring that is shaped by hand helps the watch to earn its chronometer certification, but it is also made of a blue oxidized niobium zirconium anti-magnetic material called parachrom blue that makes this watch highly anti-magnetic, so it's shock resistant, water resistant, and resistant to magnetism. This watch can do it all. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.